The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Here's a story news agency Football Insider are running.
Chesterfield winger Armando Dobra is a target for a host of EFL clubs, including Derby and Portsmouth, Football Insider can exclusively reveal. Oxford, Barnsley, Luton, Bolton, Blackpool and Reading are also interested in a move for the player. Dobra had been a standout performer for Chesterfield over the last 2 seasons and has started the new campaign in fine form, notching 2 goals for the Spirites. Paul Cook's men are reluctant to lose their prize asset, but are bracing themselves for interest before the close of the window. The winger proved his class when he scored in Chesterfield's 3-1 win over League Two rivals Bristol Rovers on the 16th of August. Before excelling for Cook's side, Dobra previously played for Ipswich and Colchester, where he spent 1 season before moving to Derbyshire. The 24-year-old could now be on his way to the Championship or League One, having attracted interest from second-tier trio Derby, Portsmouth and Oxford.
So, who's this guy? Armando Dobra, born 14th of April 2001, age 24. He is a midfielder, attacking midfielder, sometimes calls himself a winger. He's one of those. And he plays for Chesterfield. He's born in England, in Redbridge, which is, where is Redbridge again? Is it London way? Anyway, but he, internationally, he represents Albania, having played for the Albanian under-19s and under-21s. He joined Ipswich in 2017, progressing through the youth system at Portman Road, signing his first professional contract on the 27th of February 2019. It was an 18-month deal with the option of a further year's extension. So a solid club, Ipswich, of course, with a good record for bringing people on. And they wanted him to sign an 18-month contract with an option on a further year's extension, which suggests that they rated him, or at least his potential, very highly. You could argue that he hasn't quite fulfilled that potential, having moved from Ipswich Town, first on loan and then on a permanent basis to Chesterfield, where he has made 116 appearances and scored a very healthy 27 goals. And if he has any ambition in him to match the potential that was spotted when he was an Ipswich youngster, then almost certainly making a move from Chesterfield and going up a tier or 2, which it would be if he were to join us in the Championship, is obviously a good move as far as he's concerned. So we'll watch this space.
John Messinho on the final week of the transfer window.
We're looking at still having a bit of business to do over the next week or so. I think it'll be a good end to the window for us. It won't be hugely busy. Even doing one deal these days takes time. Deals are much more complicated than they were back in my day, so I'm sure we'll be busy in some sense. Probably if we end up with a couple, that'll be good business. 2 more, and that would represent a pretty good window for us. We've strengthened in pretty much every department, as we needed to, through the summer. We're looking to improve again to make sure we're more competitive than we were last year, as we showed on Saturday. That comes through players we've had in the building getting used to the Championship and also bringing in some real quality.
So that's keeping our interest in the transfer window alive, isn't it? 1, possibly 2 players, he seems to be pretty much 100% certain will be joining us and strengthening what is a stronger squad. I think everybody agrees than it was a stronger squad than we had at this time last year. And does our position in the league, we're bang in the middle of the table, does it illustrate that? It's too early to say. But the performance against, Oxford, and particularly, I think, on Saturday against West Brom, suggests that we can more than hold our own, and there may even be a period of time in the coming season when the talk will be about squeezing into the playoffs, which might not necessarily do us a great deal of good if we did manage to finish 6th and have all that song and dance at the end of the season, rather than building for a proper push, perhaps, at promotion the following season, which does seem to be the game plan, although we'll never get told that in pure black and white. John Messinho always says something interesting, almost always says something interesting, and the thing that caught our ear was when he said that deals are much more complicated nowadays than they were back in my day. Well, he was still a registered footballer and capable of playing League One football just a couple of years ago. I don't think things have changed dramatically over the last couple of years. He's probably referencing the time when his career was at its height, and he moved from a number of clubs to a number of clubs. And so he'll know what a deal looks like. But more importantly, as former chairman of the PFA, he will know what a football contract looks like inside out, not just his, which is most players going into management, they know what their contract looked like. They may never have seen the contract of another footballer. Well, that's not the case with John Messino. He must have seen dozens, if not hundreds, of other players' contracts in order to help them out in whatever means he could, or at his disposal. That's what the PFA is all about, representing footballers. It's like a football trade union, as I best understand it. And so John Messino is very much on home ground, playing at home when it comes to the business of contracts. And if he says that deals are much more complicated than they were, he absolutely knows what he's talking about. And it's another reason why we might have to wait until the very last day of the transfer window before we find out which one or possibly two new players we have.
It comes as no surprise that Adrian SEGECIC has been selected for the Australian squad to play 3 qualifiers in the first week of September. Those at Portsmouth FC who have less than fond memories of the impact that international travel coupled with international football had on the welfare of Kasigi Yengi will have fingers crossed that SEGECIC returns just in time for the Southampton match 100% ready to pull on a blue shirt. Here's how the Australians themselves are gearing up for the qualifiers.
19 of the Isuzu UTA League's brightest up-and-coming talents were selected for duty in head coach Tony Vidmar's 23-player squad, set to take on Northern Mariana Islands, Timor-Leste and China PR between September 3rd to 9th. Australia must finish as one of 11 group winners or one the 4 best second-place teams in their 4-team group to advance to the tournament set to take place in Saudi Arabia in 2026. Former Sydney FC star SEGECIC is the headline name in the 23-player squad. The 21-year-old shared the Isuzu UTA League Golden Boot with fellow Aussie youngster Archie Goodwin in 2024-25 before sealing a move to Portsmouth in the EFL Championship, where he scored 2 goals in 3 league games to begin the 2025-26 campaign.
OK, so we can be clear, this is the schedule for Adrian SEGECIC. On the 30th of August, this coming Saturday, he's playing Preston. Of course, he'll be picked. Then he flies halfway around the world to China, and he plays, or could be selected to play, in 1, 2 or 3 of 3 qualifying games. The first of which happens on Wednesday, the 3rd of September. That's 4 days after the Preston game. That's Australia versus the Northern Mariana Islands, a string of desert islands with a total population of around about 40,000 people. They are not the world's greatest footballing nation. But then in the same location, which is the Qian Sports Training Centre in Qian, China, Australia take on Timor-Leste, a hyphenated nation in Asia. That's on the Saturday, the 6th of September, when otherwise we would have been playing a club game. The kickoff there is 3:30 local time. And that is also happening at the same sports training centre in Xi'an in China. And then 3 days later, a Tuesday, on the 9th of September, they take on China. They're called China PR, but they are in fact the main international team representing the enormous republic that is China. That game takes place at 7:35, again at the Xi'an International Football Centre, Xi'an, China. And then 5 days later, having flown back from halfway around the other side of the world, he hopefully will be fit to play against Southampton at St Mary's. So that is a possible total of 5 games, 2 extreme long-haul flights over a period of 14 days. 5 games in 14 days? Big ask.
Up north, the Lancashire Post has a warning for Preston fans, namely, beware Colby Bishop. They write,
"We make the long trip to Fratton Park this Saturday to face Portsmouth." The striker was withdrawn midway through the second half of Saturday's 1-1 draw against West Brom at the Hawthorns. The 28-year-old opened his goal-scoring account for the season moments before, when he headed home an equaliser to share the points in the Midlands. Portsmouth boss John Messino has allayed fears over a potential injury to Colby Bishop. However, he should be fit to face the Lilywhites this Saturday, when Paul Heckingbottom's men make one of their longest trips of the campaign to Fratton Park. Bishop, of course, was the hero for Pompey when North End last visited the south coast, with the striker scoring on his return from heart surgery in November. And the front man will be in the squad for our visit, with Messinho minimising any potential injury concerns.
Yeah, the newspaper's not just filling space there. They are reminding all of us, particularly, it should be said, the 1 or 2 or 3 minor detractors that Colby Bishop has to do with his penalties. And then there are those who say he's not a proper target man, a proper number 9, a great big strapping individual. He does the job, and he does the job superbly well, so well that the opposition are afraid of him. That's why the Lancashire Post is running a piece explaining that they may have to gird themselves to face not just a resurgent Pompey side, but a resurgent Colby Bishop. It's a double whammy. They've got us and they've got Colby to deal with. That's how they see it. That's how we should see it. All of us. Most of us do. The vast majority of us know what we've got in Colby Bishop. A 28-year-old goal-scoring machine who is more than that. The work that he does, the job that he does, off the ball, and when he gets the ball with his back to the way he wants to go, and some big geezer roughing him up from behind. He got a lot of roughing up against West Brom, wasn't it? The Campbell guy, who gave him a lot of grief, physically and possibly or mentally as well. And Colby Bishop deals with it, and he deals with it really well. So a reminder that he is the man that the opposition usually fear the most. And we should applaud the most.